We invite you to join us on Patreon and support our journey. Our mission is to uncover the untold stories of history stories that are often forgotten or ignored. With your help, we can create deep and meaningful content that brings these hidden truths to light and keeps important history alive for everyone. Your support allows us to research carefully, produce quality videos, and share real stories that deserve to be heard. To understand America properly, its values, its mistakes, its achievements, and its ongoing struggles, we must study Black history. This is not just a small part of America's story. It is at the very heart of it. Black history is American history. It flows through every part of this nation's story. It has shaped every war, every era, and every fight for justice and freedom. Black history shows us what America was, what it is now, and what it could become. From the first Africans brought to Virginia in 1619 to the election of the first Black president in 2008, Black Americans have always been deeply involved in the American journey. They have worked hard, resisted injustice, and fought for respect, even in the toughest of times. Their story is not only one of pain, but also one of great strength, creativity, leadership, and a never-ending fight for fairness. If we ignore Black history, the story of America becomes broken and dishonest. But if we embrace it, we get closer to the truth, a truth that is deeper, fuller, and more powerful. The roots of Black history. Black history begins long before the United States was born. It started when Africans were taken by force from their homes in West Africa and brought to the Americas. They brought with them rich cultures, languages, music, farming skills, and spiritual beliefs. Even though they were forced into slavery and treated cruelly, they didn't lose their humanity. They found quiet ways to resist. They shared their stories through songs, created new languages like Gullah, kept their traditions alive, and found ways to survive spiritually. These early African Americans built the foundation for what would later become American culture. They showed incredible strength in the face of cruelty. They also contributed to the economy in ways that are often overlooked. Many enslaved Africans were skilled workers, blacksmiths, carpenters, seamstresses, and cooks. Their labor built the physical structures of America. Its homes, plantations, roads, and even the White House. Their skills were vital, but they were rarely given credit or freedom. During the Revolutionary War, both free and enslaved Black people fought. Some fought for the British because they were promised freedom. Others believed in the promise of liberty from the new American Republic. Unfortunately, many of those promises were broken, but the hope for freedom never died. Slavery, resistance, and the Civil War. By the 1800s, America was growing rapidly, and slavery became even more important to the economy, especially in the South. Cotton became the South's biggest product, and millions of Black Americans were forced to work on plantations to make others rich. But Black Americans didn't accept this quietly. They fought back in many ways. The Underground Railroad helped many escape slavery. Brave people like Harriet Tubman risked their lives to save others. Writers like Frederick Douglass exposed the truth about slavery. Rebellions led by people like Nat Turner scared those in power and made them question the system. There were also people who fought with their minds and pens. Sojourner Truth traveled across the country speaking about the rights of both Black people and women. Her powerful words moved many people to action. Others used the courts to fight back, such as Dred Scott, who challenged the system even though he lost his case. Every act of resistance mattered. All of this resistance led to the Civil War. It wasn't just a war about politics, it was a fight about human rights. When slavery was finally abolished, it seemed like freedom had won. But freedom didn't last long. Reconstruction and Jim Crow. After slavery ended, a time called Reconstruction began. For a short while, Black Americans made great progress. They voted, opened schools, started businesses, and even became leaders in politics. But white supremacists didn't like this progress. Violence, hate, and new laws were used to push Black Americans back down. Groups like the Ku Klux Klan used terror to keep Black people from voting or speaking out. Churches and Black-owned businesses were burned. Black leaders were attacked. Despite these dangers, many kept fighting for their rights. In 1877, the government made a deal that ended Reconstruction. What followed was nearly 100 years of racist laws known as Jim Crow. These laws separated black and white people and treated black Americans as second-class citizens. They were denied good schools, fair jobs, and equal rights. They lived under fear of violence for simply existing. Yet even in those dark times, black Americans continued to fight. They created schools like Tuskegee Institute, supported each other through churches and organizations, and kept their culture alive. Cultural brilliance and the Harlem Renaissance. In the 1920s and 1930s, a powerful cultural movement called the Harlem Renaissance took place. Black writers, poets, musicians, and artists came together in New York and other cities to celebrate their identity and tell their stories. Writers like Langston Hughes, Zora Neale Hurston, and Claude McKay, and musicians like Duke Ellington and Bessie Smith changed American culture forever. They brought black voices and experiences into the spotlight. Their work helped build a unique cultural identity that still influences the world today. Jazz, blues, and gospel music also spread across the country during this time. These forms of music came from African traditions and American experiences. They expressed deep emotion and truth. They gave people hope during hard times. Black-owned newspapers, theaters, and nightclubs thrived. The Harlem Renaissance showed that black culture was not only important, but essential to American identity. Civil rights and the fight for equality. In the 1950s and 1960s, the civil rights movement rose out of decades of resistance. This was not a new fight. It was the continuation of a long battle for justice. People came together to protest unfair laws, segregation, and discrimination. Brave leaders like Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, and many others led the way. They were joined by thousands of everyday people who marched, boycotted buses, sat at lunch counters, and stood up for what was right. Some wanted peaceful change, others believed stronger action was needed, but they all wanted one thing: true equality. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 were important victories, but the fight didn't end there. Women also played a key role. Rosa Parks, Fannie Lou Hamer, Ella Baker, and many more stood up with courage. Their voices were just as important in the movement. Young people, too, formed student groups that helped lead protests and voter drives. New challenges and modern resistance. After these laws passed, a new form of racism appeared, more hidden but still harmful. Black neighborhoods were ignored, over-policed, and denied fair chances. The war on drugs and mass incarceration destroyed families and communities. But again, black Americans found ways to rise. In the 1970s and 1980s, hip-hop became a powerful voice for young black people. It spoke honestly about poverty, police violence, and life in the cities. It also became a global movement that shared black culture with the world. Artists like Tupac Shakur, Public Enemy, and NWA didn't just make music, they told the truth. They gave people a way to speak when no one else would listen. In recent years, more people have started to pay attention again. The killings of Trayvon Martin, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, and others sparked new protests. The Black Lives Matter movement reminded us that the struggle is not over. It's still happening today. Young people continue to organize and speak out. Social media has become a powerful tool for sharing stories and demanding justice. Black voices are now being heard worldwide, but the work is far from finished. Why Black history matters today? Black history shows us strength, creativity, and love for community. It also reveals hard truths about racism, inequality, and how far we still have to go. But learning this history isn't about guilt or blame. It's about understanding. It's about healing. It's about taking responsibility and building a better future. Black inventors, scientists, artists, and thinkers have made huge contributions to the world. Their work helped build the America we know today. When we learn Black history, we don't just learn about oppression. We learn about victory, creativity, and endless hope. Schools should teach this history fully and truthfully. Kids should know the names of Black heroes and learn about their work. Black history should be part of every classroom, every month, not just in February. So join us on this journey. Help us tell the stories that matter. Support us on Patreon and become part of a community that values truth, honesty, and history that includes everyone. When we honor Black history, we honor America itself. Let's keep these stories alive. Let's learn from the past. And let's build a future where everyone is seen, heard, and respected. Let's build a future where fairness is real, not just a dream. Where every child can learn the full story of their country. Where every voice matters and every life is valued. Black history is not just about the past. It's about the present. It's about the future. It's about building a country that works for everyone. And that starts with learning the truth and standing up for what's right together.